the biggest story in the NBA heading into this offseason is going to be the future surrounding around the Milwaukee Bucks franchise player Giannis Antetokounmpo. The Milwaukee Bucks, once again, for the third straight year, had a round one exit. They're now another year removed from that 2021 title team. And if you look at this roster right now, if you look at the young core, coaching staff, front office, and the draft capital, it isn't too reassuring going over into the future to build another championship team around Giannis like they did in 2021. Dame is most likely going to miss all of next year's season, so Milwaukee may only have one choice this offseason, and that's going to be to trade their franchise star. So today we are going to go over some of Giannis's top landing spots that Bleacher Report made an article with, and they also give some trade idea packages as well. And I'm going to talk about what I think Giannis can go for this offseason as well in this episode of the Just Ballin' podcast. All right, yeah, so Bleacher Report gave 5 different landing spots, and I will say right now, Giannis is going to go for more this offseason than you would think if he does get traded. Now, if he requests a trade, yeah, Milwaukee could lose some leverage that people are going to point out. But I think since Luka Doncic only went for Anthony Davis, Max Christie, a future first-round pick, and a pick swap, people now don't realize how much a star player, let alone a top 3 player, could go for. Because Luka should have went for a whole lot more. If they opened up a bidding market or a bidding war, they could have gone a whole lot more. I'm sure if they were willing to trade Luka, a couple months later, they could have gone Giannis Antetokounmpo for Luka Doncic, right? Like, Luka would have gone for so much more if, for whatever reason, Nico Harrison didn't only talk to Rob Pelinka of the Lakers. So, if Giannis were to be made available, the position Milwaukee's in right now, I don't think they're going for straight draft capital, because it's not like any of these teams that they're trading with own the Milwaukee's first-round pick, outside of Brooklyn here in 2025, but we know that's a non-lottery pick. The teams that own the Bucks draft capital going forward, you have the Washington Wizards in a pick swap, which isn't too crazy, but that is from the Kyle Kuzma trade, which Milwaukee probably regrets. You have the Portland Trailblazers, which is from the Damian Lillard trade that happened in the summer of 2023. And you have the Drew Holiday trade results. That means New Orleans owns still some of their draft capital going forward. Now, where Portland and New Orleans are right now, they have a deep roster with young core. I think they're in different situations. I think New Orleans is trying to figure out what their identity is going to be going forward, and they have a big Zion Williamson decision to make this offseason. Portland has been rebuilding since Damian Lillard, but this was a big step forward. I don't see either one of those two teams trading for Giannis, and it's a loaded Western Conference. So I think if you're trading for Giannis in the West, you need to have an already good enough roster around him, and you don't want to become the Bucks 2.0. So if Giannis goes to the West, yeah, the East is going to be abysmal. That's why I think Milwaukee would be more inclined to trade Giannis for some win-now players. Now, we'll get into each destination here, and I'll give my 2 cents on what I think those 2 players can be. And if your team is trading for Giannis, or coming up with ideas that your team is trading for Giannis, and you're okay with that package, and you're like, yeah, I'm okay giving up that, or that doesn't seem like a lot, it's not enough. It's not enough, because Giannis is going to go for more than we think. He's a top 3 player in the world. He's under contract for the next 2 years, and he's somebody that completely changes the course of your franchise. He can end up as a top 20 player of all time, and he's still in his prime. He's going to go for a lot. All right, so let's start off. The first team that they're going to mention, the Brooklyn Nets. Now, their potential trade framework is Giannis Antetokounmpo to the Nets for Nick Claxton, Noah Clowney, Keon Johnson, and 6 first-round picks. Now, those 6 first-round picks, you got to yeah, it sounds like a lot, right? 6 first-round picks. But the reason why I'm not sold on this package whatsoever is because those first-round picks are coming from New York, which they're a good team right now. Maybe New York in 2031 isn't good, but I don't care about the New York Knicks first-round picks in 2025, 7, 9. I don't care about a swap in 20. The Knicks are going to be a relative good team then. Maybe they're not going to be picking in the bottom 10. Like, they're not going to be picking 25 to 30 even, but they're going to be picking between 18 to 25, which is not a good enough return for Giannis. There's too much uncertainty there. You're getting also, the Nets have first round picks from the Sixers, but those have some protections on it going forward. They do own a Suns pick still down the line, which I think could definitely have some value. But unless this is the number 1 overall pick in the draft and I'm getting Cooper Flagg, I don't really care for this package. Nick Claxton does not move me whatsoever. He's not a guy headline to come back in a Giannis trade. Noah Clowney and Keon Johnson, fine young pieces. Yeah, that's not going to cut it. I like Noah Clowney a little bit more long term, but honestly, I think they hang up the phone. I don't think Brooklyn is in a position right now to get Giannis. Now, yes, Giannis to the Brooklyn is amazing, right? Because you get a top player in the league in a big market, and you could try to convince somebody else to come here in the offseason of 25 or the offseason of 26, have that happen. But honestly, I think Giannis should stay in the Eastern Conference if he also wants to compete for a championship in the easiest way possible. because going to the West, man, it's a juggernaut out there. Unless you're making a stacked team out there even better, I just don't think Brooklyn's worth it, because I still think Brooklyn is 2 years away from being a title team, even with Giannis Antetokounmpo. They do not have a deep roster. Yes, with this trade, they get to keep Cam Johnson. They get to keep Cam Thomas. They get to keep Day'Ron Sharpe and some of the other guys on that team. But I still don't think it's good enough going forward. And yeah, the Nets could still have some cap space. Hey, and maybe they sign Ty Jerome after this, or they sign Naz Reid. But either way, I just don't think it's worth it for Milwaukee in part of this. I think Brooklyn, I would do this trade. I don't think, and like, you're trading your Nets picks. You're like, why do I care about getting your picks when you now have Giannis? You're going to be a playoff team every year with Giannis. So your picks to me mean nothing unless I'm getting first rounders when Giannis was out of the league. But Giannis is just, what, 30 years old? Like, he may have 5 more good years, and you can only trade, picks 7 years out. So now I'm really getting one valuable pick and one valuable swap when Giannis is not going to be in his prime anymore. And who knows? Maybe Giannis is still going to be a really good player at 35, but we'll see. So honestly, for Brooklyn, yeah, I would make this trade, but if I'm Milwaukee, I'm hanging up the phone immediately. Golden State. Okay, this is interesting. I haven't really thought about Golden State as a trade destination for Giannis, and I'm interested to see what it is. So it's for Jimmy Butler and 2 first-round picks. Okay, this is maybe even worse than the Brooklyn Nets idea. Yeah, Giannis to Golden State is electric, right? He gets to play with Steph Curry over there. And I'm not saying I'm asking for Steph Curry in return, because Curry is also in the twilight years of his career, like Jimmy Butler. But unless it was like Jimmy, Draymond, Kuminga, Moody, Podziemski, and every single draft pick, I don't even know if that's enough for Giannis Antetokounmpo at their points. Because, yeah, Jimmy's a great player, and he's a great playoff performer, and Jimmy in Milwaukee would be kind of ironic and kind of funny. But I don't think Jimmy wants to play there. I don't think Milwaukee can contend outside of the 2026 window with Jimmy Butler aging on your team, and you get 2 first-round picks. Yeah, so they mentioned that Golden State, to be clear, would not have the best trade package to offer, but it could piece together a compelling offer nonetheless. To be honest, I don't even know if they're trading Kuminga, Moody, Podziemski, Draymond, and Jimmy, maybe that could convince me, right? Or maybe you can keep Draymond. I get Jimmy, all 3 of the young guys of Kuminga, Moody, and Podziemski, and I get 2 first-round picks or 3 first-round picks. Yeah, maybe I'm doing that. I just don't think it makes sense for Golden State either. Because with Curry and Giannis, I mean, yeah, that would be amazing, and maybe the most unstoppable pick-and-roll duo we've ever seen. But we also said that could be the case for Dame and Giannis, and it really didn't work out. But I just don't think Milwaukee is going to be better off with anything Golden State has to offer, because yeah, Golden State could throw together an interesting package, but you have so many other teams that could just blow you away with a different offer. And it really shakes up the offseason. Like, because for Milwaukee, I think going back to them, if Dame doesn't get hurt, I think you have a way out of this of just trading Damian Lillard. You try to get 2 to 3 rotational pieces. You get off the Lopez money. You can get off the Portis money. You could re-sign Gary Trent Jr. with your mid-level exception. And maybe you could even move Kuzma as well. And you can really reshuffle your identity around Giannis, right? Like the Portis, Lopez, Dame, Taurean Prince, like these guys, you know what? They're going to come and go. Pat Connaughton, you can maybe waive. But you're now ushering a new era of maybe 3-point shooting, optimizing the lineup around Giannis. He could be a full-time center later in his career, something like that. Obviously, double big mans have had very good success here in the playoffs so far with like Adams and Şengün, Randall and Gobert, Allen and Mobley. But I just don't think Golden State would make sense. And honestly, I'll give some probably better team destinations if I find one than Golden State that aren't mentioned. Now, Houston, I think this is probably the most likely team that would be like, I think Houston and OKC are the 2 teams that could trade for Giannis and be good in 2026 and also be good in 2031. And they're not mortgaging the complete future for Giannis, where you're now making a win now move for the next 2 to 3 years, but then you're really going to face the consequences of that after that. And you're going all in, and if you win a title, great, that lasts, championships last forever, banners last forever. But if you don't, you're gonna feel kind of the wrath of that. But Houston, I think, makes a lot of sense. So the trade idea is Jalen Green, Jabari Smith, Reed Shepherd, Cam Whitmore, and 3 first-round picks. So this is definitely, I think, the best offer out here so far, because those 3 first-round picks can come from the Nets, who are not a great team right now. That can change, but they're not a great team right now. It can come from the Suns, which intrigues me a lot, because the Suns may be entering into a little bit of a retool. Plus, you're most likely getting a top 10 pick from them in this draft. Now, from the playoffs so far, I don't think Jalen Green has a ton of value. Now, Jalen Green could be a lot better in a different change of scenery. He looked a lot better in game number 5 against Golden State, and he had, I believe it was game number 2. He was really good. I could be off there. But he's been very inconsistent in this series, and he's been inconsistent for most of his career. He's an insane athlete, but the shot has not been where you want it so far. Jabari Smith Jr., has not really lived up to the expectations of being a third overall pick now 3 years into the league, but I do think his development was put a little bit on the back burner since a lot of the development focus has been on Green, Şengün, and Thompson, and the veterans have come in. Shepherd did not have that much of an exciting rookie year, but I'm still high on Shepherd, at least as a good sixth man, seventh man, microwave scorer off the bench that could be an elite three-point shooter. And Cam Whitmore also didn't have maybe the year two that he would have liked, but still has potential, and you get valuable first-round picks. To be honest with you, like Houston makes this trade, they're still very well off, right? Like you have Amen Thompson, you have Giannis, you keep Şengün in this trade, you still have multiple draft picks. I'm sure all your first round picks, because you're not trading them because these 3 first round picks are probably going to be the Suns and the Nets ones. You still have Dylan Brooks. You can pick up the team option on Fred VanVleet, or you can decline it, and you're actually like not taking on too much money here. I'm doing some ballpark estimates, but what, Giannis makes $50-ish million. Green makes 33 starting next year. Jabari Smith was a third overall pick, so he's making like 13. Same with Reed Shepherd, he's making 13. We're basically over Giannis's amount now, so you're actually saving money with this trade. So you could decline VanVleet, maybe you're in the Ty Jerome sweepstakes, or you get somebody in free agency, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, and you have Tari Eason still after this trade. You can bring back Steven Adams. I think the Rockets could contend next year, and they're going to be okay going forward with Şengün and Thompson when Giannis comes and Giannis goes. Now, if I'm Milwaukee, I'm not doing this trade unless Şengün's in it. Jalen Green does not move the needle for me to trade my franchise superstar that, like I said in the beginning of this episode, could be a top 10 pick, or excuse me, a top 20 player when he retires. I'm not doing that unless Şengün is on the table. If you want to keep Amen Thompson, fine, I get it. Amen Thompson was incredible in year number 2, and Amen Thompson, like, there's even like a Bleacher Report like thing here. He's untouchable in trade talks. I get it. If it was Giannis Antetokounmpo for Amen Thompson straight up, the Rockets would do that, but it's not. It's going to be Amen plus a bunch else. I get it. But if I'm the Bucks, I am not trading Giannis to the Rockets unless Şengün's involved. And I do think like Ime may be on board, maybe not. I think Rafael Stone, who's been a good GM and has made the right moves over the last few years, would be hesitant. But I do think Tillman Fertitta, the owner, who has been aggressive in the past and has been like the guy that orchestrated basically the Russell Westbrook Chris Paul trade when Daryl Morey is like the last guy that would ever make that type of move. He would be like, we can get Giannis this offseason and we can pair him around Amen Thompson and the veterans, and we get to keep Tari Eason and still some draft picks. I'm doing that trade, and I think ownership would get involved. And if I'm Milwaukee, I'm asking for Jabari Smith Jr. I'm basically asking for this package, but I'm swapping out Green for Şengün. And that's what I think he's going to go for this offseason. I'm not overrating Giannis by any means. He's been a top 3 player in the league for the last 7 years. He's 30 years old. Like 4 years in the NBA is a long time. Remember when the Bucks won an NBA title? That was 4 years ago. And it does feel like a decent amount of time has passed since then. So you're getting like 4 more top 10 at the minimum seasons from Giannis. And probably a couple top 5 and even a couple top 2 seasons from Giannis. He could win an MVP again. Because like he had MVP numbers this year, but it's just Milwaukee was not as good as OKC or even Denver, at least through some points throughout the regular season. And yeah, I think Houston would make the most sense. I think Houston can go double big with Giannis and Şengün if they were able to keep him. And yeah, I'd rather trade Jalen Green than Şengün any day of the week. But if I'm Milwaukee, I'm not doing this trade unless I have a 22 or 23-year-old all-star in Şengün coming back to actually build around, because there's a whole lot of what ifs with Green, Smith, Shepherd, and Cam Whitmore in draft capital. Because Smith and Shepherd, while they were third, or Green too, they were all top 3 picks. I don't think they've lived up to the expectations of being top 3 picks. Some guys have obviously had more seasons than others, but I do think Houston is the most intriguing destination for Giannis. You get him in a big market as well. So here we have the OKC Thunder. Let's just see the idea. Isaiah Hartenstein, Cason Wallace, Nikola Topic, and 4 first-round picks. Okay. Now, it's funny. I have a lot to unpack from this offer. One, I don't think that's nearly enough by any means for Milwaukee to do this trade. I mean, I think you're getting a lot more in that Houston deal. Yeah, I think they're really underselling what Giannis would go for. Wallace, definitely an intriguing asset. Isaiah Hartenstein, really good defender, but how valuable can he be in a playoff series if he's not playing next to like Chet Holmgren? And he did work out against the Knicks, for sure. Topic hasn't even played in an NBA game yet. How is he going to look off that ACL tear? A little scary. And 4 first-round picks. Now, the Clippers do have some good draft capital going forward. Like, they have swaps with Denver down the line. I believe they have a swap with Dallas down the line, which could have some value. But, like, they have the Jazz first-round pick, top 10 protected. Is that ever going to convey? I mean, the Jazz are going to be bad for a little bit, so I don't know if that's ever going to go back to OKC. those Clippers picks we thought were very valuable. I mean, one of them this year is going to be in the 20s. Like, that is not going to be, or late teens, not going to be super valuable either. But they do have another one down the line. I just think OKC's draft capitals, like, they do have a decent amount. They have a lot of quantity. The quality of picks aren't there. I think Houston has better quality of picks between Brooklyn and Phoenix at the moment. Now, we'll talk about this for the Thunder. I don't think they make this trade. Or they make this trade, like this offer, but I don't think they trade for Giannis because I believe Milwaukee will ask for Chet or J-Dub. Now, I don't know which one. I don't know. They may just call them up and ask for both. But if you're OKC, you probably don't have to give up much else outside of J-Dub and Chet Holmgren. Like, if you want Giannis, you're going to have to give up a lot. And I think that may be too much for OKC. And they're fine. They were just a 1 seed that won 60-plus games with J-Dub and Chet, with Chet banged up this year. And these guys are still on their rookie contracts. They're in year 3 of their careers. They were in the 2022 draft class. They were in the same year drafted as Jabari Smith Jr., and they are completely past him in terms of value in this league. So I don't think OKC, I think they offer them this package for sure. And if they say no, they say no. You're fine. You might win the title this year, and you could win 3 more titles in the next 6 years. You're going to have the MVP this year, most likely. You have as good of a 2 and 3 option that are still on their rookie deals around Shea. You have Dort. You have Wiggins. You have Joe. You have Cason Wallace. You have Hardenstein. You have draft capital at the moment. You're going to have another 2 first-round picks in this draft, or at least 1. You have a good head coach. You have a smart GM. I don't think they trade for Giannis if it's J-Dub and Chet. Now, maybe if it's J-Dub for Giannis or Chet for Giannis, do you think about that? And if I'm Milwaukee and I can get J-Dub and Chet, I'm taking that over any other deal because that sets you up now, but more so in the future. I just don't think OKC is going to happen. I don't think Sam Presti's willing to part ways with their core because they don't really need to. Unless they lose in round 2 to the Nuggets or the Clippers, maybe. But I don't think so. I mean, everybody's still young. Shea's 26 off the top. I could be wrong on how old Shea is. But he's around that age. He was in, the 2018 draft class. And, yeah, that's, right around the age Luka, Triple J, and Trae Young are. I just don't see it happening with OKC, honestly. Because I think, San Antonio is another interesting one for sure. So they would trade Stephon Castle, Jeremy Sohan, Keldon Johnson, and 4 first-round picks. If I'm the Spurs, oh my God, I'm running to the league office to get this one done. I've seen Spurs fans on Twitter saying, I'll trade for Giannis this offseason, but Stephon Castle is untouchable. Excuse me? I know he just won Rookie of the Year, but honestly, with 3 years left on his rookie deal, if Stephon Castle does not improve his shot next year, and I don't think he's going to have an Amen Thompson level jump next year. Maybe I'm just a little hesitant on Castle's shot, but I don't know if he provides you the defensive upside that Amen has, the transition scoring that Amen has to counteract the lack, or more so the inefficient shooting. Because if Castle does not take a leap next year, it's going to lose some value. And if he can headline a Giannis trade, the value may not get any higher than this at any point in his career. And I worry about a backcourt of Fox and Castle and how that's going to look floor spacing wise. So now you make this trade. Jeremy Sohan, I'm okay to part ways with for Giannis. Keldon Johnson, how do they make this trade with no Devin Vassell? What? I am 100% asking for Vassell, Castle, and any first round pick that you own that isn't via San Antonio. I'm asking for the Hawks picks. I'm asking for, I think they still on the Dallas swap. I'm getting the Kings swap from the DeMar DeRozan 3-team deal. I'm basically asking whatever first round pick they have left that's not theirs, that they're okay to part ways with and maybe swap. Because if San Antonio adds Giannis to Devin Vassell and Victor Wembanyama and De'Aaron Fox, those picks are going to have no value to me. So, yeah, I don't think the Bucks would accept this one. 2, if the Spurs, if the Bucks are, oh my God, I'm doing this trade in a heartbeat. And now you have Giannis and Wemby in your front court, which, oh my God, the Western Conference would be on a freaking another planet than the Eastern Conference if this happens. So, yeah, I would say the only one that I really liked out of here that makes the most sense is Houston, because I think Houston has enough to offer for Milwaukee to actually think about trading him, and they're realistically willing to do it. OKC clearly has enough, but I just don't know if they're going to be willing to do it. And San Antonio can, I think, have enough, but man, I'm way more intrigued about Houston's trade package than those. Milwaukee doesn't have to trade Giannis. He's under contract. He's shown that he wants to win in Milwaukee and build a legacy there, and he seems very loyal to the franchise. But this team, it just sucks because I think Damian Lillard would have made so much more sense to trade this offseason than Giannis. You reshuffle your roster. Maybe it's a 1 year, feel it out year. It's just because you don't have draft capital going forward. So it's a sunk cost. I get it. But you don't want to be bad every year, and you just don't have a top 5 pick to show for it. So out of all these destinations, I think Houston makes the most sense. I don't like the Golden State or the Brooklyn really ideas. San Antonio can get there. I don't know if they will. Same with OKC. So how many other teams does that leave? Would Orlando say, we'll worry about the spacing later, we'll give you Franz and Suggs and draft capital? That could intrigue me if I'm Milwaukee. Franz Wagner, I think, has a decent amount of value. Would Toronto part ways with Scotty Barnes? Maybe. Obviously, like, say they get the second overall pick and Scotty Barnes, and I get Dick and Walter, and maybe even Barrett in that deal. And then you're building a foundation of Giannis, Ingram, Pirtle, and quickly. Maybe Masai wants that. Philly could get involved. Say Philly gets the second or third pick in the draft. I don't know if any team's willing to part ways with Cooper Flag for Giannis. So, say Philly gets the option to draft Dylan Harper. Maybe they can package Harper, Maxey, Paul George for like Giannis and Dame. And now we're really just, I don't know. Now we're getting down a rabbit hole that I don't know if we can get there. Philly could be a wild card in all this, depending on the lottery. Like, they have the McCain asset. I saw somebody on Twitter say they have to, like, they could do George, McCain, and the pick in the draft, as well as, like, the Clippers picks down the line. That's not going to be enough. The Paul George is the worst contract in the league. Phoenix, not happening. If Kevin Durant was 28, maybe. Denver could be a wild card in all this as well if LA comes back down 3-2, or if they get swept by OKC. Like, who says no to, like, Giannis and Dame, which sucks because Dame is like $50 million salary filler next year because you're getting no production out of a max deal. Or Giannis and Kuzma for Gordon, Murray, and Porter Jr. And you're like, I don't know. We can get crazy with Giannis trades if we really wanted to get there. I would love to know what you think in the comments here on YouTube. If you're watching here on the video version, or even if you're listening on Spotify, you could drop an idea in the comments. I think those teams would make the most sense. I'm just kind of going through every other team in my head that, like, could realistically offer a package. Like, there's the Atlanta idea. Would they be willing to part ways with 2 out of the 3 of Dyson, Johnson, and Reese Shea? I don't know. Maybe. Obviously, keeping in the Giannis in the East is intriguing. Giannis, like, it's not going to happen, but Giannis in Cleveland, like, there is some type of deal. Giannis to Boston. I don't think Milwaukee would do that, but hey, there's like a Jaylen Brown. I'm just spitballing here. We're going to get, obviously, more I guess ideas about this as the offseason comes along, as more teams have round 1 or round 2 disappointing exits, and they could see, you know, if Giannis is available, let's go all in. But we don't know yet if Giannis is going to request a trade. I think it would be more so maybe on, I don't think the front office wants to trade him. And I mean, the GM, John Horst, just got extended, so he's not any pressure to win next year. Maybe he's now comfortable doing a rebuild now that he got an extension. Either way, it's going to be a very interesting offseason. I hope you guys did enjoy this episode of the Just Ballin' podcast. The Athletic dropped a new mock draft, so I should be reacting to that tomorrow. But yeah, let me know down below what you think. Maybe I'm overrating Giannis. I don't think I am. I think these guys end up going for a lot more than what we expect, and I do think, like, it's funny because I feel like Rudy Gobert overvalued the market. Luka Doncic undervalued the market, so maybe we're at a correction right now. We'll see. Let me know what you guys think. Thank you all for watching and listening, and I'll catch you guys in the next episode. Peace.